Good evening. Welcome to the January 5th, 2023 Recreation Parks and Board meeting. I'll call to order the meeting, and we will do a quick roll call. We'll go down the line.
Veronica Johnson.
Glenn Larner.
Greg Weaver.
John Lydon.
David McDonough.
Don DeGraves.
Okay, now that everybody, the roll call, we have enough people for our meeting, so let's continue on with our minutes, approval of the minutes. Does anyone have a motion to approve the minutes, or
Make a motion, we approve the minutes.
do I have a second?
I'll second it.
Let's take a vote. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Okay, the minutes are approved. And we'll let Miss Norton come on up and come to the meeting. Miss Norton just showed up, so we'll let her run the meeting as the chair.
Apologies for being late. Keep going. Keep going. Keep going.
We're going to go ahead and now that we got the minutes done, we'll introduce our newest board member. David, you want to introduce yourself and tell us a little bit about?
Yeah, good evening, everybody. My name is Dave McDonough. I am a four-year resident of St. Mary's County at this point in time. I was excited to become a member of the Recreation and Parks Board because I have so much experience with Rec and Parks, or Parks and Rec, through my children. I've got an 8th grader and a 7th grader here in the county. They both play soccer, baseball, basketball. I help coach the middle school basketball team. Obviously use the parks, use the golf courses. So really, the opportunity to come in and do something to help out the community was paramount when I made this decision. I also spent the last year as the president of Leonardtown Rotary, so I did get some experience being on kind of a leadership position on a different group. So I just want to do something that was more in tune. Rotary was great, but this was much more in tune with where I am in life with my kids right now. So excited to be here.
Spectacular.
Well, yeah, thank you for joining us, and thanks for introducing yourself. Ms. Norton, are you ready to do the annual report?
Absolutely.
There.
Apologies for being late. Happy New Year, everyone. Apologies, Christina, for having that report come in delayed. I am very happy to submit the annual report for this board. As you all can see, the information just details information that's publicly available on the website as well as in our LPPRP, I practiced that one. That's information that's available in that plan as well, and of course in our CIP summary sheets and projects. So the information just details all of the wonderful accomplishments by the department. As we are as a board, we just oversee and gently poke the director every now and then for information, but the department are the folks that actually put in the work and implement the programs for the county. So board, here is the annual report. Please review. Again, it is public information that's available to not only us, but to the community and to the commissioners as well. So just highlights of all of our information. So with that being said, I'll give you all a moment to just review. Thanks.
Well, Madam Chairman, I've gone over the report. I
Sir.
appreciate all the effort you put into it.
Thank you.
And I certainly think it highlights everything that were involved with this year.
I appreciate it. I'll let you know that I literally reviewed every single broadcast and reviewed every agenda from 2022 because I didn't want to miss anything. I probably did miss some things, but I just wanted to definitely highlight a lot of the accomplishments as well as the CIP projects that we get questions about. I wanted to definitely highlight the FY22 budget information right there in the front because we get questions about that as well. So just that's why that's centered right there. But just wanted to, and I do apologize, a new board member. I didn't get a chance to add you on there. I'm so sorry, but welcome to our board. So
Thank you.
so with that being said, as soon as we are ready, I will receive a motion to accept the annual report.
I'd make a motion to accept the annual report as written.
All right, is there a second?
Second.
All right, all in favor to accept the annual report for FY '22?
Aye.
Are there any noes? No? Awesome. The motion is passed. We will accept this annual report, and our liaison will submit this to the county commissioners, and we did it on time, yay! Perfect. All right, so moving right along, we've introduced our annual report. All right, so now comes the point in our board where we actually are open for elections. So I am open to receive elections for chair. Are there any nominations for election of new officers for the position of chair for the board?
As a member, I'm happy with the chair and the vice chair. So as long as it's not going to interfere with any of your duties, I hope that both of you will continue to serve in your capacity. So I'd like to nominate Ms. Norton, rather.
Well, awesome. Well, thank you,
chair?
sir. Nice, thank you, sir. All right, I believe I will ask for a second.
I'll second that.
All right, all in favor? Aye.
Aye.
All right, and there are apparently no no's, so all right. You are stuck with me again one more year, Mr. Shepherd. All right, thank you. I appreciate you. Thank you, Mr. DeGraves.
We
All
need
right.
nomination for vice.
I'm sorry?
Need a nomination for vice?
Oh, yes, we do. Is there a nomination for the vice chair for the board?
I'd like to nominate Mr. Weaver to continue in that position.
All right. Is there a second for that motion?
Second.
All right, we have a second for Mr. Glenn. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All right, and there are no nays. All right, so Mr. Weaver, you're stuck with me again one more year. So that motion is passed.
Thank you.
Thank you. All right, so without further ado, I'd like to invite Mr. Shepherd to the podium so we can review our CIP for this year. How are you, sir? Happy New Year.
Thank you. Good to see our new member, Mr. McDonough.
Yes.
I've met with him on a couple occasions regarding Rotary business, presenting there, and also some other questions and matters, and hope he stops by the office soon for an orientation of the department.
Perfect.
Good to see you here, man.
Thank you.
You were just given a handout tonight about the budget calendar. Do y'all have a copy of that right there in front of you?
Yes, I love
So,
it.
what I'm going to do, I'm going to slow down and go over that briefly, because as your role is advisory, these dates are important and are good. So that will also let you know, well, when do I get involved in here, and what's one of the better ways to do that? And then Christy is then going to go over and start talking about this budget sheet that we have that talks about how we read some of the things in the documents, and then I'll go together about the projects. So let's get up to date here. This Tuesday coming, you see there's two sides to this document: capital budget, 2 columns, operating budget. We're going to have a budget work session this Tuesday talking about, the commissioners are going to be getting educated on revenue estimates and get the broad overview of where this FY24 budgets go as far as operating. And then we as a department, we have to have our budget in by the 13th of January. Now, so that's one of the reasons we won't be talking much about operating tonight. That'll be next month. I misspoke last time, because what that does now, once we turn it in, because I've got to get all that ready, then you'll see that. But you'll see on this calendar, there'll be plenty of time for the potentially a recommendation from the board, concurrence or whatever, or some new ideas or thought about the operating, and that we could get that to the commissioners. So let's keep going down that list. Then you look all the way back again to February 14th, we'll be going back over the CIP budget again with the commissioners. So input, even after tonight, you can maybe garner some things that you see that are different, or you might say, well, no, we're pleased with where we're headed and what the funding looks like. Then we turn our sheet over, you see another budget work session. We'll complete the CIP on the 28th, and then the operating budgets begin to come. A review of the county departments and discussion of compensation on March 14th. Was it one before there? Yeah, February 14th, finance will get the operating budget to the commissioners. So you think that's when, and we'll have met the 1st of February, that's when the commissioners are going to say, okay, here's what Recreation Parks is putting in, and then now you'll have opportunities possibly in writing to the commissioners After February 14th, they'll have something in their hand. What are your recommendations or concurrences? And then you can see the rest of the list. You can see on your own March and April when the public hearings are held and all those things too, if you decide to speak as an individual or as a board member. So that's why I wanted to go over this sheet to you. This is something you want to keep. You can find it online. It's right there under the finance documents, the FY24 budget calendar. But I wanted to know you to know it's available, and it's something that's important as we go down this trail of January, February, and March of getting to that full budget that commissioners are going to take to public hearing in April. Okay?
Yeah, this is very, very thank
Yeah.
you so much.
And plus, too, when we keep talking about asking questions to the public, this is a good sheet of paper for you.
Yes.
Well, you can say, hey, this is when the public hearing is, this is where it is. This is they're discussing the budget beginning February 14th, or whatever that date is. Gives you a chance. If an individual wants to email a commissioner, they can do that. And so being able to advise with that calendar is something you either want to keep handy or get to the website is quick. It's there. It's there.
I'm sorry, on the 13th of March, CIP group presentation to Planning Commission, what is that?
Okay. That's all of the CIP groups from public schools to Department of Public Works and Transportation and Recreation and Parks. We sit here, Planning Commission's there, and then we present all of our projects.
Oh, wow.
And then the Planning Commission must approve them because but really it's not about a project. Do they concur, do they align with the comprehensive plans and the plans of the county? And then they will ask questions, sometimes to make sure to get some assurances where there are questions, but they're an astute group and they've seen the budgets come in year after year and they're well studied. So those progress pretty good, about a 45-minute for the department, maybe a presentation right here on a Planning Commission meeting.
Excuse me.
Thank you for asking that one. Okay. Chrissy, you want to get going?
So I put together two different things for you guys. One of the challenges is understanding all our different budgets. So again, just remember tonight's all about the CIP. What you have up on the screen is what I call your cheat sheets. It gives you the fiscal years, what current fiscal year we are in, the budget and the budget timelines, the link to find that. So the document Arthur just gave you, and then the link to the current budget, that's where you find it online. The CIP is done every year. It develops the proposed budget to present to the commissioners for any projects that are continuing and any proposed future projects. The CIP is funded with tax dollars and large grants from various sources, including that annual allocation from Program Open Space that we get. It includes the request for the upcoming fiscal year, but it also budgets out the 5-year forecast for planning purposes. It includes that standing project for the park planning grant. That's the Land Preservation, Parks and Recreation Plan, LPPRP. The parkland acquisition and recreation facility improvement projects. Those are standing every year allocation or projects with allocations. And then they also include all of the large-scale development projects. It's the first budget that the department prepares and has commissioner review, which you see now that you have that schedule in front of you. First draft, we as a department are normally doing that in September. And that's important for you when you're planning your meetings to know that that's the critical time for input from the board. And then obviously there's various CIP budget meetings in Tuesday afternoons in the fall, which again, you have the calendar. The last bullet on there is the CIP budget. We've gone over that several times, but that's on the main page. That's also one of the links that's in your standing email, meeting email, and then the project status update. So just kind of some general information. The second document,
Excuse me.
and this was literally pulled right out of the budget, is how to read a CIP sheet. I thought this was a super helpful document in understanding those sheets that you keep seeing coming over. So the specific capital project title, obviously, the project number, the category that it falls under. You have your just project description. Underneath the picture is the compliance information, and that is how does that project comply with the comprehensive plan, just like Arthur was talking about going in front of the Planning Commission. Then it lists out all of your expenses, any prior year funding, that 5-year span that I spoke of is listed on there. The total of estimated project costs, and then the bottom section is all the sources of funding by project. I know that's a lot of information I'm throwing at you, but I wanted you to have this handout, so if, when you're looking through the project updates or the CIP budget, if you had questions, it's something you can refer back to at any time. Any questions about that?
No, thank you for the.
Okay, so the next two things we have the FY24 CIP budget proposal, and then there's also project updates available for you guys as well. That's you, boss.
Not on the screen?
I'm getting it.
Oh, okay.
It's a little bit short.
I don't know if I was just, what? And you've seen this sheet here, the summary sheet for our CIP projects. Let's just go over them, and we, especially with our new members here. St. Indigo's boating facility, boat ramp down there, it's the wing walls, some dredging, all that needs to be replaced down there to get that going again. So you see that's going to be a $500,000 project. And we get most of that, all that money right from waterway improvement grant funds. They're very excited about the work that's going to be done there. Park land and facility acquisition, I told you before, that's the amount of money that goes in there each year because of our annual contribution by the program open space funding. And that goes in there for potential future land acquisition for park space or whatever it is. Now, our program open space, that funding, what is it, a 7-year term, 8-year term?
Or land acquisition funding, 7 years.
7 years. So let's say here we are at 23, so let's go back to 16. If we haven't spent that 16 money, it will go away. And right now, I'm in a closed session with the commissioners about a piece of property, not for a park, but it's in closed session, so that's about it. But what that means, if the good news, we didn't spend it because we had to, but the good news is what we needed came available, and we're looking to acquire that, and that means that 16-17 money in that amount, about $500,000 or so, will be utilized. So that was good news, and it was one of them fortunate circumstances for us. But you'll hear all about that as soon as it's made public, and I can tell you more then, because right now it's in negotiation. But it's certainly not parkland. Elms Beach Park improvement. Did the solicitations go out this week, Christy?
They're out right now, and they're due on January 18th from the bidders.
So you see, we've had $2.3 million in prior approval. We're asking in '24 $435,000. So that's this year. We're asking for that. So that would give a $2.7 million renovations to that park. And I was delighted to hear, somebody was in the office yesterday, I said, we're getting ready to do A&E work for that park. He says, it's nice now. Well, it's going to have better parking, potable toilets, AD accessibility, moving the playground, and a lot being done there to really improve Elms Beach Park. Recreation parks and facility renovations, that's... Well, FY24, let me explain why that's up to $2.6 million. It didn't cash up to $2.6 million. What happened is, you can see it was $1.6 million, but the last 2 years in a row, the governor has given an additional $1 million non-matching funds for park renovations. So finance says we're going to put the 2.6 so that we don't have to go through budget amendments, but 1.6 is all the county's invested. And so that's a budget number. But so I do have some updates in the 1 point.
Are there any strings tied to that money that the governor puts in as far as usage goes?
No.
As to where it has to go?
Well, they have to be permissible projects. So we go that. They're approved by the Board of Public Works for the State of Maryland DNR. We work with DNR staff, so we just can't do anything. And then, some of the major ones are that everything has to be open, totally open to the public. Again, no matching, but our regular program open space, this 1.6 million, that's if we were to spend $500,000 on a project, then we would be putting in 50,000, and the state would be putting in 450,000, 90-10. Ours is a 10% match, so that's a very good ratio, and that's all because of the Land Preservation Park and Recreation Plan that we met our land acquisition goal.
Oh, okay, so it's like a reward.
Yes, because now they're not saying you have to spend all that money on getting the amount of land that matches geographics and population. Since you're there, you can use more of that money to develop.
Right.
So that has been a big win in 15, well, no, it had to be 17 and 23, 24, right where we are, yeah. So those years, so that's good. But no, most all of it, as long as it's an improvement, now here's one of the things about this is getting deep in the weeds, but so you'll know it too. When you use program open space money, you do then put easements, restrictions on that property. So now, we're going through that possibly about a piece of land that has program open space purchased with that. Well, we want to do something with it. Well, you have that easement on that land, and that's not a permissible use, then what do? You can do a conversion, but that takes some time working with a program, the state and attorneys, but it can be done. Don, I hope it did. Do you need more?
Well, I'm more curious about is there a criteria as to how that money has to be spent? When extra money comes in like that, for instance, does the state specifically say you need to spend a percentage of it here, and here, or
No.
Or so that's all decided by staff and the commissioners as
That's
to
right.
where that money's going to go.
That's right. And let's look at the two ways it was done differently, us in Charles County. Both times, the infield improvement project, Leonard Hall, lighting at 5th District, so there's some of the projects, but about 4 each time, 4 projects to get to that million. But in Charles County, which they get more because of their population, they get a bigger piece of the pie, but they use all of their money to get 2 turf fields in up there. That's how theirs were purchased. But that puts a big easement on those turf fields, gets rid of some of that flexibility. But that's what they did to get theirs built up in there. So it can be the whole thing. There's permissible uses. First thing we do is we go to POS staff. What do you think? Yes. Fill out your application. We go to the commissioners. They approve the application to send off to program open space. Then they have their staff. Then it goes to their Board of Public Works, who then in turn approves. And once they do, then we can start encumbering the money and getting the purchase orders cut.
So when the turf fields were put in these counties a couple years ago, 2 years ago.
St. Mary's?
Yeah, in St. Mary's, yeah. So where did that money come from?
That was all county funds.
It was all county funds.
All county funds, straight through PAYGO, bonds. I can't remember the revenue sources, but just strictly all county funds for those.
So this was for the parks, right? We're not talking about the high schools, just the parks?
The parks.
Okay.
Yeah, because then there was money given to public schools for the turf fields there, and then the public schools came in, and I think it was about 60-40 split on that. Okay.
Thank you.
Program open space. You can't beat it. And matter of fact, the governor's final term, and there's a card I have pinned in my office of the things that he put out and what he did for St. Mary's County in the last 8 years, and not just our department, with others, historical and different things. State of Maryland has stood up for us here in the last 8 years. It really has, with funding and different projects. So recreation parks and facilities and renovations. You have the budget sheet there where that's all going. We reviewed that before. So let me give you a little update on one of those. Is remember last meeting, we the skate park at Chaptico, we took back 450,000, and we're going to do that. Yeah, get to that sheet for me, Chris. Thank you. Rainbow. That's how she told me how to find it. Oh, you got them all in there. There it is.
There you go.
Yes, I have literally, I have every one of them in there for you to be able to
Okay, so
review.
let's look over there. Look at your listing on the left-hand side, and you will see, where is that? I'm looking.
The Chaptico scale, okay, I see the 450.
About halfway down, Arthur.
Yep, finally made it. Oh, good job, Arthur. So there, we had 900 there in the beginning going into last month's meeting, but talking with the skate park folk and what we want to do with retrofitting these lights into LEDs, we split that because now we think we'll do the skate parks in the 24 and 29. Because time you bid all that out, it'll get past the winter before you're going to start, and then we can do them, put a skate park up there, and then renovate the one we have at Nicollet Park and Richmond Park. But you see, though, too, the retro fit of athletic fields, 450. So here's what's still going on there. Remember, we've been talking about lights. Don's brought that to our attention months ago.
Garland, yeah.
Yeah, so we're still working directly with SMECO on the rebate program in Power, Maryland. We're also, I had to take it off the list because the state of Maryland has a grant available for this too. And we were going to the commissioners this Tuesday, but now after working with them for some time, and they're going to extend it for another 30 days, I'm going to bring it on their list on the 24th. No commissioner meeting on the 17th. The 24th, I'll bring that back up, and we'll also partner with Public Works so they can get some of this street lighting money, because we realized we weren't going to get the local jurisdiction maximum after speaking with them. We'll now put Public Works and Recreation Parks together so that St. Mary's County can benefit from this.
Is that the grant that the lady that had to sign off from SMECO made you aware of?
Yes.
That would be,
Yes.
was available also?
That's correct. That's the one. So we're working on that. We have a good proposal, but right now, what it is for us is, after talking with the group there, Kyle Keeball did, is can get all the lights purchased.
Right.
So all the LED bulbs, fixtures, and then we would go and use our money possibly, but we need to get all that, of an electrician to install, or how all that's going to work. And we didn't have that going in. And then, but fortunately, the grant was supposed to, by the 13th, but they said only one other had applied, and we were the only second one in the state of Maryland that came to them for a tentative apply. So they told us they're going to keep it open for another month anyway. But we're on the grid. We're on the grid. Thanks, Kyle Keeball, for that. We're on the grid.
For 2 applicants, that's more money.
Oh, well, true that. True that now. So it didn't hurt our feelings too bad.
Put it out there. Put it out there.
So with the SMECO initiative, the Empowerment Act that, we found out about and the staff has been working on, what does that change in relationship to this proposed budget that you have for lighting initiatives?
Okay.
I mean, does it mean that this money now goes further to get more done faster, or what's exactly happening there?
Well, so we'll just use this one. Let's forget about the grants for a minute so we don't confuse the two. So now we have, if the commissioners go and this $450,000 for retrofitting lights, if a project, the whole project cost $700,000 with the rebates, then we're $450 towards that $700,000. And we can work that out and sometime in 24, 25 to finish it up in that part. And we'll go to our priority listings. Because remember, Kyle, we've gone out there and we have a list of all the metal halide fields, every one of them, with the illumination and the recommended candle light on every one of them. So we know the ones
The prioritize.
the prioritize. So that would take care of that 450, provided we go to the rebates, because I'm still working with our own procurement system, because we're still working that out, because we have to make sure, and working with Empower Maryland, working with them, is that we're getting what we're the value that what we're looking for too. So that's the next part is working. But all this will come in '24. Get started. Chancellor's Run is probably one of our biggest, is our priority. That illumination on some of them softball fields there is dim now that we found out. And Field 1, Lancaster Park football field, the Bermuda field, take care of that. And then, we've had 10 fields and courts, total 10 of them put in since 2017 with LED lights, and they are something else. And plus, we're getting that new one on Field 6 at Dorsey. Answer your question?
Yes, but the other part of the question is that the Empower Maryland Act, okay, gets reviewed each year, right? So with that being said, what's the time frame on capturing these funds
Right.
so that it doesn't go away before we can capture the funds on a year-to-year basis?
Glad you brought
Are
that
you
up.
going to be able to bring that timing forward with the commissioners, you think, in order to accomplish everything, or?
Once I get that definitive deadline, we'll certainly bring that out. And then, if we have to figure it out, because I think with both the energy savings and the cost savings, because that cost, I think it's a well worth project. And if we have to, that would be what I would do. I'd recommend we've got to do it now because that's savings. We're not, and we're talking about savings. And I'd be able to. We don't have that Empower paper with me, do I? Man, I wish I had.
That's what I went to go look for. It was from last month.
Kyle didn't email. Did he email that to you?
Yeah, but I can't get to it from here.
Oh,
I mean,
okay.
I can send it
Well,
out.
no, you could just give me a number if you can find it, if you can. So in other words, there's major savings annually that we would see on that it would pay for the project. So that way we might be able to bring it back into now. But so who have I met with? Again, I met with the division manager at SMECO. The young man, I can't remember his name, that works these projects, and then with James and Dee from Empower Maryland, and the gentleman that was here presenting. So I've been meeting with all those. When we talk about that money, what they said there is they don't know yet. They don't sense it going away. They just hearing that possibly it could, but right now, and they would let us know. But there's no urgency on it right now.
So I guess what I'm
think it
asking,
still has legs.
You're confident that what you're proposing to the commissioners is going to go through right away so that money doesn't get lost, or the ability to?
Not yet. I'll need to hear that. This is FY24 because we're in FY23. But if I find out this is what, hey, the word is that end of FY23, 1st of July, there's no more money in Empower Maryland, then I'll say, I need to bring this to your attention.
Right.
That's what I'll do.
Well, hasn't the act been still going to be existing in 2024?
Hopefully so. Yeah, that's what I'm trying to say. Hopefully it still will be, because I had heard that was one of the things in one of our meetings by one of them, that maybe this money, they're talking about this project going somewhere else and funding other things. And that's why I asked that question pointedly, was about what is the future of that. So we get that, but and then here's, if on the 24th, see, I was hoping it was this Tuesday, but we're not ready. On the 24th, the whole retrofitting project, because of the grant, is going to come before the commissioners here this January.
Right.
They'll know about where we are, the good news, and plus the challenges, and plus the potential challenge with the funding timeline and scheduling. They'll know that all on the 24th.
The last part I would ask is something we discussed the other day. Where are you at with the energy demand and the distribution demand part of the solution for the power surge? Can you enlighten us on that while you're talking about it?
Well, we've had a lot of discussions, so we haven't decided on the best method. Empower Maryland and SMECO both have that was one of their, I think that's one of their priorities. So I would hope that we would get together this week or the next to see what that actually is, what the final answer is for that. But we're still, all that's in the discussion and still progressing. There's been no silence on that. Everybody knows that's their goal. They know it, and they want to help. So that's good news.
Thank you.
And while we're on this list too, I know we get this question, is the infield project from last year, that's still with that POS program open space money. Next week is when Roy, the week of the 9th, is when Roy and Todd from the company that did the infield, they were be touring the parks and about some of the things, some of the concerns about the field management and the way it was done, or potentially, and do that and get through that. And then I'll all lead all of us into getting those fields ready for March opening. So it is scheduled, that site visit is.
Thank you for that.
Would it be prudent to invite some of the voices that you may have heard that brought up questions about those things being resolved? The different leagues, so that nothing else comes back about it. Let them know that you're going to be visiting them during such a period of time or something. Not necessarily they have to be part of it, but just so that they know that
Notification.
this is they have a chance to go look at what's been accomplished,
Okay,
so that it doesn't come back to us again.
that's so good. I'm putting it on the table. We have a parks meeting Monday morning, and we'll get that as part on our communication list.
Thank you.
And which also brings us to, this is the time of year, getting ready, that on February 6th and 13th, we have our first preseason meetings. The one will be for the baseball, softball, then the 13th would be for the multi-sport fields. Any new things coming up here and there, concerns, us sharing some information. So those, we meet each year, twice a year, with the different sports leader groups. And that coming up here in February. We're ready to go. Hopefully, we are.
So being you brought that up, if I may,
While we're here.
I'd like to, I guess I want to start by making this suggestion. I received that email from one of the organizations that Kyle sent out, okay? And I don't know if any of you are aware of the email that he sent out, are you? I think, I know it would be helpful for me because I'm saying I don't know what you're talking about. When I was contacted by an organization, I would, at least for myself anyhow, I would like to be included in these emails that go out along those lines, so that if something comes back,
Yeah.
you know, as we have with discussion you and I had, you know, that know about it ahead of time, and instead of hearing from it from somebody else. I don't know how the rest of the members feel, but
I agree. I agree. That way it's not. Sorry. I agree because, you know, we've actually witnessed where it's been, well, this was said, and because some of us were not included in the actual email exchange, it becomes a, well, that's not true. Well, this is true. So, you know, if we're all present in the conversation, that's the accountability. So I would at least like to be included in just the email exchange as well, just for awareness.
All right, what I'll do
If
is
possible.
come back in February, and I'll give you what I suggest as being the major meetings that we have, and let you look at them and then agree if y'all want to be included, copied on those.
That's fair
and
for me.
And all we're doing is copying you, letting you know this meeting is scheduled.
That's
And
fair
then
for me.
you decide if you want to attend or not.
That's fair. I mean, I'm on the
Because I know you don't
contact
want
list.
I know you don't want all of our meetings, but there's some those meetings. Those are what I call big meetings. You have them twice a year, and you
Specifically
see
the league
You
meetings.
see through those league meetings, and there's some other ones. But I'll give you a recommendation list, and if you want to bring some to me too, and we can decide, and then say there's 6 a year that you don't want to miss besides these.
Oh, I
Okay?
appreciate
Is
that.
that fair, Don, to the group? Oh,
yeah, I think it's going to be helpful to all of us.
Okay.
That way, we in our own agendas, we can make arrangements to attend these meetings if we choose so.
That's right.
All
Thank
of us
you.
as stakeholders, and some of those sessions coming up in January.
Yeah, I agree with you because, being around a lot of parents, I think the questions about how the multi-sport fields get used and how it gets divvied up between the different sports leagues is a topic of concern. So it would be welcome to be part of those meetings or learn more about it.
Yep. And what we're doing there too is we're going to have some big information for this year for that, because here come turf fields and here come online use, and then here comes year-round use, and here comes a premier field. So things have changed in the last 18 months. And so we know we've tried to adapt. So there's some things that we learned, but
That's good.
one of the biggest. So here's what one of the biggest challenges is. Can I tell you one of the biggest challenges with the fields?
Go for it.
Here in St. Mary's County, for me this is 44, and then I participated. So for the last 50 years, we've had open parks. Mm-hmm. People could come in. The last 50 years, in some ways, we've had fields from Ridge to Charlotte Hall.
Just being available.
And being available. And in some ways, because people like that better, they didn't have to compete for a field.
Right.
They could get it the night. So there was a lot of concessions made. So, because most jurisdictions have 6 parks or so, and then that's where you're scheduled, unless you want to go to a school or something. But here's where the parks are. But we're all over, smaller parks and all over. So now trying to get, with the amount of demands for a field and the people to use times that they're not used to, or a Friday night or a Saturday for practice, just seems like wayward, because for so long you could get it when you wanted. But yet, think over here at Leonard Hall, you can come over here at 7 o'clock on a Sunday morning, and you'll see ball playing in here. Mm-hmm. To think it outdoors, to say somebody, in order to have practice, you must play at 7 in the practice at 7 in the morning, that would be unheard of. ICE has to do it because there's one facility. So we're going through this transition period because of the popularity, the premier field. You're going to see what's happened when we get these field improvements and get staff taking care of those, how we're going to have to adapt to that change. And then also saying, no, those, because of the way they are, these fields now have to be cared for.
Right.
So just work through the growing pains. So that's all I want to do at these meetings with those there, is for everybody to come up with a understanding that we're a team in this. That means the leagues and us, but here's the challenges, be aware of them, and understand the growing pains. But understand, too, that in the last 2 years, the commissioners have stepped up in a way. Infield improvements, staffing, equipment, turf fields, online system. Then the other one's going to probably, what happens is because of the park support fee, $7 a player. You can use a field 50 times or 20 times, and it's still just $7 a player. Right. So you can also say, I want to use a field, and there's no recourse for not using that field.
I was wondering if you were going to touch on that. Because there's also that opportunity now for, as we kind of briefed before, of, I don't want to use the word consequences, but consequences for organizations that schedule a field and they don't use it, while there are 3 other organizations that wanted that same location and same time slot. So I'm hoping the department is looking at that as well.
I think the chair recalls that this conversation came up a number of months ago.
It did,
good for the goose is good for the gander. Mm-hmm. We have the director and staff is called upon now coming into this season to prepare sites. Right. And what's the penalty for
that's a better word.
Not canceling the site in a timely manner so that expense isn't gone through? For full disclosure, after I received what Mr. Keeball sent out, I called the director and we had a conversation about a couple things, and I'd like to state them now. That was one of the things I made him aware of, that as far as I'm concerned as a member, I'm in full support of coming up with
a penalty.
What's going to be the answer to not having it done.
Right.
I hate to see a penalty go out to anything, but the bottom line is, as we brought up, if you don't cancel umpires, you got to pay for it.
Right, so, and as the director just expressed to us, we're having to adjust, so they have to adjust.
Right. So
the compromise all along.
The other couple. I'm sorry. The other couple things we discussed was. We still know that there's going to be challenges by everybody, all organizations, and the equity of field usage, okay? But in the past, and I've had some other conversations, Director, with some of the league leaders, and said, in the past, there's always been a working relationship in making up scheduled games, that if a particular program had a particular site, particular field, and they got rained out, and the next night things were going to be fine, and there was a practice that was going to be at the same size field or whatever, that practice, for whatever organization it was, would go away so that a makeup game could be taking place for a different organization maybe, okay? And we had that discussion that I think that conversation needs to come up with all the organizations at this meeting, that games have a priority over practice regardless of what the organization is. Of course, it can't be something you just pop into the schedule.
Right.
It has to be because of a rain out or whatever the case be. That's a position I take as an individual. I don't know if directors had time to think about that since we had the conversation or not, and not that I'm looking to put you on the spot.
No, and that's one of the things that I said, that this, with our Parks meeting Monday, we're going to begin that conversation too, because we've had those over the years. And that's why these league leader meetings. And to add to that, so the one when I was coming in on you with the support fee is now what's going to have to happen, and probably in 25, not 24, because it's late in the process, and plus we've got to get our numbers right too, is maybe in 25 fees it's a field reservation fee, and you don't have the per player fee.
Ooh.
In lieu of the per player fee, and that way when you sign up online, if you don't cancel within 31 hours, you're still going to be invoiced. Because we can't. Plus, you're getting your money that way. Because remember, for a participation fee, the one reason we've gone backwards is when this COVID growth came and the turf fields came, participation came, but the revenue didn't come with it.
Right.
If you had a 400-person league, $7 a player, you're paying $2,800 for all them games and all that time on the field, and it didn't. Then now, and that was based on like 2 practices a week and 1 game, kind of like youth basketball would do, or 1 game and 2 whatever that formula is. But now, somebody can get a field at 7th District Park and be down there 4 nights. Because that's one of the reasons they wanted to go, because it's less used. They can be on turf fields because the lights are there now, all that, and so they're having more, paying $7, but many more it's opportunities, but it's more than opportunities. More time on the field is what it amounts to. So, but if you go to the reservation field fee, then that doesn't make any difference. And then plus when you have guests coming in, it doesn't make any difference, because that was one of the things I brought up that the leagues didn't like. $7 participation, but you're a travel team and you're playing teams out of the county, really that money's not coming with them.
That's right.
But if you have a $30 game fee for that field, then that 30's there no matter who's coming. So those are the things want to get ready for next February.
You have a lot of travel teams here.
Yeah.
Because I have family that is in Calvert County, Charles County, and they play all their soccer games down here
Wow.
with their travel team.
And now, and thank you for saying that, but now that we've got to this place where we're going to take care of the baseball fields, with the Bermuda fields, with the irrigation that we have, and the turf fields, those are taken care of. To charge a reservation fee now is where it really needs to be. But I'm open. We're going to introduce that in this meeting, February, to talk about beginning the next year in July. So that wouldn't take place until July of 24.
Yeah.
So could it be in the FY25 budget, but want that to be spoken about now so people can get ready for that. And plus I can get the feedback that's necessary going into next year's budget, because that'll be a new change for St. Mary's County.
Well, I personally, I like that idea, because, us on the indoor, for the indoor facilities, that's what we do. I mean, we don't pay a fee for, I'm going to bring 10 players in for this one game. No, we reserve the gym. So it's similar to a reservation fee. So I kind of like where you're going with that.
Okay.
As long as that $30 was strictly hypothetical, I'm in tune with what you just said.
Well, no, I went a little low, Don. I just didn't want to drop it all at one time. It's gonna be about 55, 6. No, I
Get
mean,
that.
that's why I said we got to get our numbers, what that price is.
But
to-
just the
that we can
idea.
recoup the
Absolutely.
money,
I
plus be
like it.
fair. That's,
But
we're
everyone
not looking to
else.
make money off it, but we're looking to have the money there, to have that staff there. Because we now know, that's the other thing, and somebody else been asking me about the challenges, and I had a meeting with the new sheriff, Sheriff Hall, and the major, and one of the reasons is because now public safety is just an issue everywhere, not because in a certain area, we're not targeting a certain area. Everywhere. It's just when crowds are there, there's a different way of living now when you bring crowds in, when you invite them in.
Yeah.
I think that one of the things that's going to come up at your meetings, whether it's baseball and softball or field usage, is going to be, if we have staff there, why can't they have access to extending the lights if it's necessary? Are we billing lights based on a half hour after the first hour? I'm a little confused as to where we're at. Or is it billed at an hourly basis, or the first hour, you have to at least ask for an hour, and then after that, you could ask for a half hour, or how is exactly that working?
I can't
putting you
answer
on
that
the
one
spot or
today.
not.
No, yeah, you have, but that's okay.
Okay.
But I don't know the good answer to that. But what you're saying, I mean, that makes a lot of sense to me. But yet, till we get that right now, that where we're going, because we have these fields with lights, it wasn't an issue before time. But now with the hourly staff, because now what we're saying is our hourly staff is we're still responsible, because now we have, well, we only have one more inning. Can we stay till 11 o'clock? And that pressure isn't easy. So we're going to be talking about that too. That's part of our talk starting this Monday, because we're getting ready for the new year.
It's also not safe to have the lights turned off while the players are all on the field.
Right.
And as a coach, that's happened to me before. And it's like, you have all the kids searching to find their stuff with their cell phones open at 10 o'clock at night. So we got to find the right answer to that question.
Well, no, that one's answered. We can tell you what time they're going off, but see, coaches,
Right, so
the
you gotta
coaches don't want to
properly
get off
plan, that's
15
right.
minutes before time.
You gotta
We
plan that.
we can finish the inning. Well, that's what happens. Because if you know they go off at 10 o'clock, I would make sure I'm off at 9:45.
Okay, are they on a timer system?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, it's called Control Link. We can
No, I-
do them right from the telephone.
Well, I was asking
Yes.
because
Yep.
been here and, okay.
Yep. So that's and we'll talk about these league leader meetings, and because I want to hear it straight. Is that true? Because the reality, if we give a time, really nobody should be out late. Now we know we have to do work with our parking lots, and that's what we did. We just hopefully the poles are up, the stanchions there. Fifth District Parks are getting LED lights to light that up toward that football field and all the baseball fields. You're not going to have a dark parking lot anymore. We're putting lights up from the back fields at Baggett all the way up to the bathroom to light that trail up. The ones over, you don't have lights at where else Cecil might have some work to do there. But we'll identify those parks and what they are and see what we do. But that would just make the communications what needs to be there. Lights go off at 10 o'clock. So then the leagues then have to say, what do I have to do to go off at 10 o'clock? No innings after 9:30.
Right. All right. Where are
That
we?
was a lot of operational instead of
Yeah.
CIP.
Well,
but-
And where are we on?
Well, to say,
But this is what's coming up next. This is what's coming up.
to say that is fine, but I understand where you're coming from. It's up to the managers to decide what expense they're going to pay to finish a game. And unfortunately, with the hourly charge of $25, obviously the end game is to this whole lighting thing is to get that fee down. So I think that by getting that fee down, organizations, regardless of what sport it is, are going to be able to better budget their time and say, okay, now it's, I can afford that hour and a half, you follow what I'm saying, in order to ensure that we're off the field and the game is done. There's nothing worse than to look at any group of kids and say, we've got to stop the game, and we're in the sixth inning and another team is coming back for a win or a loss, you follow what I'm saying? And then regardless of the sport, because lights become a factor financially.
Well, but let me just go with this one. If you're on a field without lights, you got to start when it gets dark.
Yeah.
You have to stop. You have to look at it and say to each other, "Do we start a new inning? Because look what time it is." And is that so? Really, the lights compound it, but it really
the lead.
shouldn't, because it's if you're playing without lights, the sunset dictates whether you could start a new inning or not, and whether
would be part of
whether
the
you're complying with field
illustration.
safety. We're going to work through all that. That's why we're going to bring them up, and that's why I'm willing to wait some time on that fee and hear from people. But we've been on that discussion. Can we do it with the hourly? But I'm not there yet, because there's a lot there, and I know
consider.
that there's a lot to consider on special considerations, because what I know about youth sports, we all have a special consideration.
I think your point is well taken to this member, that you know where you're at with a daylight field.
Mm-hmm.
I think that one of the things that our lighted facilities have is the ability to start a game a little later, where field preparation, adults that transportation for kids to get there, you're not as rushing, all that type of thing. Where a game doesn't necessarily have lights have to start at 5:30, can start at 6 or 6:30. If the lights are in a position where you can afford to have the lights, because you're going past twilight. So I think that's something else that comes into.
Well, that is one, because
when you have lights.
that combination says we're not closing down because it's late. That one says, so we can say the lights can stay on to 9, because it's the twilight. But we say the park closes at 10. Because an employee over at this field says they'll stay as late as they want, as long as they get paid and they're nice about it and all that. Then we've got to have a constant there. It can't be dependent on who the hourly employee is and all that.
Right.
Thank you.
So getting back to the CIP, definitely good conversation.
Great conversation. Thank you for listening.
But in the effort, because of the time, can you just brief us on the Shannon Farm property, because that is a very large number?
The Shannon Farm property is,
0.3.
that extra 2.3.
Yeah.
Now, we, just a
Excuse
few
me.
weeks ago, we went to the commissioners with the master plan. We look to come back, remind you, Christy, the 24th, doesn't have to be, but the 24th around that time, to come back, because we like to brief, and they want our consultant to be here live next time instead of virtually.
Right.
So we'll come. But the commissioners were very pleased with this park. And the reason for the new monies coming in and to do that, the board, to get from the homegrown market, does everybody know where the homegrown market is there in gate 3 of the base?
Yes.
Down there. So there's that homegrown red roof barn. And right from there, you can diagonally head right to the Chesapeake Bay in about a mile, 9/10 of a mile.
Wow.
You can get there. But the wetlands are so much. Now, to get emergency vehicles and maintenance trucks down there, you have to have concrete boardwalks and some bridges. That was a major cost. But it didn't. We can do that. It'd be much more prohibitive cost if it was for vehicular traffic, over and over. And then our staff, it might be just to go down there with a gator with some small equipment. But we know once a month or not, we would have to pump the toilets out, because, there's no perking there. If something happens, we need to get an ambulance there, correct? So that'll be able to handle that. So that's the rise in the cost. The commissioners just delighted we can get down to the Chesapeake Bay. And then what it'll be is we'll put a playground there, one at the homegrown market. And then as you go there, as you're meandering, walking down, you'll also have trails through the woods. So a different type of park, a passive park that leads to the water. And then we'd also have carts there. So if I come with 2 children and chairs,
Oh, wow.
and you would have to be able to bring something with you.
Right.
And take with you so you could get down there. And then also very, very accessible for people of all abilities this way. So we're excited about that project, but that's the money, because just to get everybody down there, and really wasn't any new amenities.
The
was it?
one interjection there is that also that extra money is taking care of that shoreline erosion. When we got down there, there was some significant erosion, so that's for breakwaters or living shorelines, or when we're ready for that part of the project to determine what kind of those erosion techniques would be taken care of the shoreline.
Okay, so I see that out in 2026, there's that 1.5. What do you anticipate?
That's the shoreline.
Okay, got
Yep.
it.
And if you look into the description
Right.
part, and I know it's a lot, and I
okay,
know
yeah,
we're
yeah,
rushed, but some of those things are actually spelled out for you and written out. So it does say the FY 2016 money includes the addition of the shoreline
Oh, okay.
And
breakwaters.
Christie's done a
project.
great job with updating those and keeping that text over there in a line with those numbers. Because otherwise she'd have a director that was asking her 20 times. Now, I'd be asking more than you guys. What's that 1.5 million for? So that text is very valuable to me and the citizens.
So
Absolutely.
part of the discussion that, in your presentation to the commissioners last month, was the length of I'll call it the boardwalk that went through it. I think it was 2 miles,
No, 1.2.
1.2?
Because it's a straight shot, it was 9/10 when we started, but time you have to meander a little bit, but it wasn't up to 2.
I think the 2 mile, I think the part that got a chuckle from one of the commissioners was that it was a mile out, but then it was a mile back, or a little over, and the length there. So as we discussed after that, I had some questions regarding, are bikers going to be allowed? I'm not talking about motorcycles, I'm talking about bikes.
Non-motorized wheels,
Are they
for
going to be
sure.
allowed to be on that pathway with the width that you're proposing?
Yes. Your width is the same as our trail and the shared use of bikers and walkers and joggers. Yes.
And then the other question I brought up is are there going to be any benches or rest areas for people
Yes,
that's in there? Okay.
Yes,
definitely.
yes.
Greg wants to go, yes.
So what about portable restroom facilities?
I think you've mentioned that before.
What that's going to be, it's going to be what we call a potable facility there and at Elms Beach, where it's running water, tanks, and then what happens, then the trucks come in, you see the septic trucks, they'll come in and pump those out, whatever the use is, let's say it's once a month, and that'll be in the operational fees to do that.
Okay.
So you're going to have much better than what's a current.
In the plan, where you've got a straight shot, I'll call it, going from one end to the other, and this little bit over a mile. These rest areas, have you looked at how are the benches going to be within that, or is there going to be little build-outs, you follow what I'm saying, for those rest areas to take place? Or
No, we haven't got that far, but I think it'd be a combination, because we want people to kind of let people come off the trail a little bit, and that would invite them, and there would be a bench here to the door, and they would go there, but also showing children, because I know what this boy was like. You get on the trail and there's some woods there, and there's a path. We have to go down, and that'll be and that's one of the things the LPPRP called for was hiking, biking, trails, nature, and that. So that'll be a great asset for us. And then in the end, you got the victory. You wind up at the Chesapeake Bay with a sandy shore. The shoreline's about 0.6 of a mile
Nice.
from there to what's the housing there called?
Cedar Cove?
Thank you.
All right, so because this meeting, of course, is the first of our year, and we're going into the budget session, I just want to open it up to the members if they have any questions regarding any of these items listed, like any specific questions. I know you expressed a few questions, which you may have asked already, but specifically, I've received, Director, a couple of questions regarding Myrtle Point Park. And Christy and I have shared a few things, but I just wanted, if you could give us an overview of what the future looks like for Myrtle Point Park, and that 125,000, what exactly is the department's vision for that?
I think that one's in here because it doesn't have.
Don, I got to give you credit. You didn't put me on the spot at all.
A high level,
Well, you know, because you know,
A high level.
and the reason I say that, Myrtle Point has been there for some time.
It has,
And has
yes.
really been very minimal improvements there. We just did get those barns down, trying to get a parking lot farther down. You know, beach access isn't for everyone right now. So that's going to be one that I'm going to have a conversation with the commissioners, because right now it's maintained its passive park.
Right.
Is what it's maintained. It hasn't had any development whatsoever, and that development is one of the fears. Is there's certainly of that park bringing in even bigger crowds than what it's bringing in now. So there's something to be said about that, because I like to go in there tomorrow. The commissioners allocate the money, go through the architect and engineering. Right now we have. After this year, we would have 400. So by getting in here, Ms. Norton, getting in here at 125 in FY24, that tells you there's some initiative in moving forward.
Right.
With
And
some
you know,
plans.
I said vision,
Yeah.
so, not to say this is in stone, but, what the vision is. And we understand that it is at the mercy of the commissioner. So, just.
Well, one of the best things is to make it accessible to that beach, to get everybody there. That would be one of the biggest ones. And then some amenities there, from
Right,
hammocks to playgrounds, some passes, some family things that people could
Definitely,
enjoy.
I like the idea that it's passive. Not like a heavy volume, or it's just passive. You can go walk your dog, or go have a.
And we have bow hunting only on that property.
No.
Yeah, when you come in there when you go in, that property to the left, that's bow hunting only. Then it's approved DNR, man. Well, he didn't get his permit application for Myrtle Point,
Don't walk in there.
but yeah, don't go in. And then also there's an area for bow hunting only at Elms Beach that's owned by, we leased that from DNR. Anyway, but there's two pieces of hunting property, state property. One's state property and county property, but most all other state property where the hunting is that. There's only one county property, and that's Myrtle Point. And people are always asking us about more hunting opportunities, but let me just say, this is the first time I've said this out loud so everybody can hear. But really, right now we're set up as a parks operations and maintenance division.
Right.
Hunting. Now, you think of the difference in us where we're stacked up with DNR and rangers and all those things to do a hunting program. Not saying we couldn't get there, but there'd have to be some investment.
Yeah, that's true.
Hunting's a different story.
Does anybody even use it?
Yes, yes. Let me put that down to bring back some statistics in February, because that'd be good to know for you guys.
Yep.
Okay, February for hunting.
And just
Because we can tell at Elms Beach because of the application.
And just to reiterate, from Myrtle Point, in your description, it tells you that there is a master plan for that property
Yes.
that designated it as a nature park. So that plan, and it's much more of a concept plan. It was done a long time ago, so it's really more of a picture. And I have a big one, so it's not online, but there is a master plan for that park and what was designated through public meetings back then of what that park was to be visioned as.
So the vision's Snow Hill without boat ramps.
Oh.
Because I don't know what it costs to get that done. But Snow Hill's having the new boat ramp in, and that'd be on the Patuxent side.
Okay.
But that park there.
Down the road, that development. Okay, that makes sense. Without boat ramps, okay.
And one of the other visions for the future, is I think now we got to start doing something with all of our kayaking spots, because the kayak launch is coming to Snow Hill, but at Great Mills, also, what are we going to do about rentals? Are we going to do it where people can, we hire companies? What are we going to do about getting kayaks at those spots so that people, the recreational user, can enjoy the waters that way?
So those that's a DNR boat ramp, boat launch
Where?
down in Great Mills, right?
No, that's
Right over-
ours.
Is it really? Mm-hmm. What?
Getting ready to put lights on that trail. No.
So what?
That goes all the way out. You can go all the way down to.
Must be why we continue to get questions about the central park down on Indian Bridge Road, that land, that property. Is that the same property?
No, no.
Okay. I thought
That was just a possible designate at one time. but
Right,
no.
I remember
But no,
we
we do
talked
that.
about it often.
And
It's a
that one
place
goes
on-
all the way, that goes all the way down to St. Mary's College. That gets you right all the way into the St. Mary's River. An hour,
Oh, yeah, yeah,
an
that's
hour
right.
trip and you're down there.
That boat land, okay, that's what I'm thinking of, okay. I was thinking off of actual Indian Bridge Road. That says this one in the same,
Ours
okay.
in Great Mills is on Valley.
Okay,
Did you mention earlier that the gators and the other equipment was going to be in on time for the,
No, I didn't mention that earlier. I'll get back to the group on that, but we don't see any reason not to. The POs have been cut, everything's going, and we're looking for that, March 1st to get everybody ready. One of the challenges, let me give you another, I'll just give you one other update. It's a CIP update. That Chaptico bathroom's almost done. That'll be nice. So why I tell you that means as soon as they're done, they're coming down and we're getting those 2 bathrooms done at Chancellor's. Chancellor's lights have been installed.
goodness,
The windscreens and lights on the tennis pickleball courts are done.
that's good
And
to
then we
hear.
had a new one this week as the new pavilion at Lexington Manor Passive Park was
Right here.
was erected this week. Oh, is that your list?
Yep.
Yeah,
There.
page
what's the
13, right?
forecast for the
I just pulled it up.
bathroom facilities at Chancellor?
Since we're just
What's the
chit-chatting.
date look like on that now?
Chaptico?
Chancellor's, right?
Chancellor's? It'll be done before the summer.
Just chit-chatting, that's
Because,
good.
we had to, we had to work with Metcom and different people and the state, so we got that behind us. And now the same company that's done, they'll be finished here, they can get started. And those 2 with just individual single toilet sinks locked both there will give us 2 bathrooms up by the turf field and the pickleball tennis courts, and then one down there by the playground and turf field. So those will be much appreciated by the soccer families.
Did we have security lights going up in any of the parks?
Well, yeah, like I said, we're going to be finished 5th district.
Camera systems?
Oh, camera systems. Wi-Fi's and camera systems. Right now, the one that 2 of them just came up, but neither one of them was an athletic park. We've got them.
At the beach?
We got them at the Passive Park.
Okay.
They're strong there. And then we just got some at the Piney Point Lighthouse because we wanted to put them there was for storms. Because now you going out in a storm to find out what you have, we can look at the cameras and see if that road's flooded and what's coming over. So we got that. Oh, and then we did get them, they're on my screen now, for the basketball, volleyball. So you have the field number 2 at Chancellor's, but we have them in that old area coming in and out. And then we have it on the skate park, the splash pad, and the new playground at Nicollet Park. There's one centered on all of those, and with some new ones, really the entrance, people coming in and out. So is there a particular park you were thinking about?
No, I was up visiting family up in Massachusetts, and I also in New Hampshire, and a number of the parks there, advertised that, it's, and you can, when you drive in, everything is cambered. They know who's driving in and out,
Yeah.
so on and so forth. And talking to one of the maintenance people up there in New Hampshire at one of the campuses, he said that the vandalism is just like gone to nothing now, compared to what it was. And I just wondered if,
Yeah, we're steadily
that
on
was
that.
looked
I got
at,
it.
you know.
Bob Kelly with IT, got to give him credit for a great job, and we're headed that way. Oh, and then also at the current bathroom at Chaptico, that was our first one that is controlled remotely.
Oh, wow,
So we're getting ready to be the point that we can lock and unlock the restrooms
that's pretty nice.
remotely, so that
That's
nobody's ever going to pull on the handle at 6:30 in the morning, and it wasn't open on time, or at nighttime they're closed on time.
thank you.
That'll save some money too.
Right.
Absolutely.
Anything else, Madam
All
Chair?
right, members, correct me, because I know I ask this all the time. We are currently in fiscal year 2023, right? Okay. So I just wanted to encourage the members. We have this $350,000 for Central County Park, and we know what our CIP is. The director has presented that to us. So I think it would, I'd like to encourage you all to just be creative and just look through our CIP to see what we can do. If these funds can be used anywhere else for the director, anywhere in our CIP. Because he's already expressed what our CIP projects are, you know, so we have the opportunity to suggest, give that advice to the director so he can present this to the commissioner. So I just wanted to put that out there. Okay?
And let me reiterate one thing about the summary that you're looking at the screen right now.
Yes.
This is not a list of all the CIP
Right.
projects. This is a list of CIP projects that have FY24 funding suggested for them.
Yeah.
So that's why you don't see some of the ones that we talk about on a more
Right.
regular when we go through the project updates.
Correct.
Well, with what the chair pointed out, and I'm in agreement, I think besides the board, if something went out from your office to the different organizations to ask what recommendations they may have that for possible use of that expenditure, what ideas they may have.
That's true. That's true. All right. Are there any other comments, questions, concerns for our CIP? You know, a reminder, we are moving into our budget working sessions. So now's the time for us to put on our thinking caps, right? Look at our numbers and have these conversations with the director when we have the time. So just want to encourage you.
Thank you.
All right. All right, if there are no other questions, then we can get some time back this evening. If I could have a motion to adjourn.
Make a motion to adjourn?
All right, is there a second?
I'll
You're
second it.
not going to,
Oh, I didn't even think about that. I mean, you know, okay, we're going to keep it short. We're going to keep it short. We're going to keep it short. I mean, I know it's New Year, we're going to keep it short. All right. In fact, I'd like to offer our new member the opportunity to give a few words, and if there are any goals or any ideas or anything that you forecast for the board, now would be the time to share it with us.
I appreciate that opportunity, but this being my first meeting,
Yeah.
you know, I'm just learning, and so I can be a much more productive member as we go forward. So I'll pass on that opportunity tonight, but certainly will take the opportunity later down the road.
I'm gonna hold you to that, absolutely. All right, Mr. Don.
I would like to thank all the members for the past year, for their input. I think tonight's session was excellent. Got a lot covered, a lot of discussion by the director and by the board, by all the board members, and wish everybody a happy new year, and look forward to a continued proactive position by the chair.
So thank you, sir. Mr. John?
I'm just looking forward to the next year.
Awesome. Mr. Gregg, in fact, before you begin, are there any updates from the Wacomico board?
No, we're having a meeting later. And,
Okay, perfect.
But we're good. Just real quick, hopefully we do as much this year as we did last year. We did a lot of good work. The employees of the Parks and Rec should be very impressed with themselves. They should be a pat on the shoulder, pat on the back. We thank them every day. Thank you.
All right, I'm going to skip myself. Mr. Glenn? Oh. Veronica?
I would just like to remind everyone to go out and like the Facebook page of the Recreation and Parks, because I think that we share a lot of good opportunities, classes, things like that for kids and just adults as well to join and get out there and do something a little different. That's it.
Awesome. All right, so I'd just like to say, I don't think it's a secret that I'm a huge basketball fan, and I just can't contain my excitement that we are actually playing at Great Mills High School this Sunday. I can't contain myself. You know how important it was to me. We are playing at Great Mills High School on Sunday, so if you are not busy, come on out to Great Mills High School and see some middle school basketball. All right, so that's all I got to say. All right, so I believe we had a motion to adjourn. All right, is there a second? A second to adjourn the meeting?
I
think we
second
have a
it.
motion. All right, all in favor?
Aye.
All right, we are adjourned.